Hello everyone, and a very Merry Christmas. I'm wearing my feeble excuse for a Christmas jumper. The camera woman director is not happy. It really ought to be a proper Christmas jumper, but I don't own one. I'm not really a Christmas jumper person, has to be admitted. We see you've got our Advent wreath fully lit now for Christmas, including the central candle, and we have our wonderful crib scene. Christmas does tend to bring out the best and worst in people, doesn't it? Let's start with the best. 1, presents. People giving things, generosity, imagination, expectation. At the school Christmas service, one child said one of her greatest pleasures, the best things, was giving presents and seeing the joy on the recipients' faces, more so than receiving them, which reminds us of things that one of the things that Jesus said, it is better to give, more blessed to give than to receive. Getting the family together. Obviously there's huge uncertainty about this now. Particularly the Leet Sage advice a few days before Christmas that there needs to be stricter regulations, more so than the government put in place. Food, celebrating with wonderful food. We do have some wonderful things to eat at Christmas in particular. But taking them in reverse order, the best can also be the worst, can't it? Food leads to overeating and overdrinking, illness, hangovers, bloatedness, general lethargy, and particularly with drinking, often leads to the traditional Christmas family rows. And again, at the Christmas services, when I asked children how many were looking forward to being with their families, loads of hands went up. And then I asked, how many times or how frequently at Christmas is there a family row? And loads of hands went up, including some of the same hands. We do look forward to seeing the family gathered, but sometimes the stresses do show, don't they? And all those past resentments have been held over for years, decades sometimes, come up. Presents, well, greed and acquisitiveness, getting the wrong or inappropriate presents, hideous ties so kindly meant, as John Betjeman memorably put it in his Christmas poem, and forgetting to get one for Uncle Sid again. Jealousy, resentment, broken toys, children wailing, or that Lego set that takes you hours to put together and then your son's lost interest halfway through anyway. All those things can add to that specific misery that can be associated with Christmas too. The Christmas story actually reflects this. There is the best and the worst of humanity in the Christmas story. The best is Mary and Joseph, their faithfulness, their devotion to each other, their courage in accepting their role. Mary, a very, very young mother with her first child. The shepherds responding with joy. The wise men with their committedness, travelling from so far and persevering to find the Christ child. And the worst, of course, is Herod, murderous Herod, and the terrible story of the massacre of the innocents that happens straight after Christmas. Prefiguring what happens to Jesus on the cross, where finally the powers that be, the powers of the world, do get him. Though of course that's not the final story. So Christmas brings out the best and the worst in us. May it bring out the best in us this year, even in the midst of this pandemic with Omicron and all the rest of it. And may we recognise that Christmas isn't just Christmas Day. The church celebrates Christmas from Christmas Eve all the way through to Epiphany on the 6th of January, the 12 days. Make your Christmas celebration last, and may at the heart of it be the knowledge that Christ who comes, who brings out the best and the worst in humanity, can bring out the best in us. Have a good Christmas. Amen.